from Texas, yielding at this time. You know, every time I hear people talk about the jobs that are at stake here, I think about my state of Oklahoma per capita probably has more jobs at stake than any other state does, because Cushing, Oklahoma is the crossroads of pipeline now throughout America. This chart right here is just over 2 years ago. President Obama came to Cushing to give a speech on national TV with all the pipeline tubes in the background. You can see these tubes over there. In talking about how this is a major breakthrough that we're going to, quote, cut through the red tape, break through bureaucratic hurdles, and make this project a priority to go ahead and get it done. Well, that's what he said. That's his quote right there. And yet he's done nothing but obstruct this ever since that time. The southern leg of the pipeline may be finished, but that was part of the project the president didn't have any say in. The president could do something when you crossed lines, international lines, but he could not do it from that point south. The portion between Canada and Cushing, however, is completely stalled because the president has delayed making a decision, and as I said, for 5 years now. Now, to me, the Keystone Pipeline is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the way that President Obama thinks about oil and natural gas industry. Today, we've heard great speeches from many of my colleagues, and they're highlighting the great impact of Keystone Pipeline's construction and what it would have on the economy. We know that it would directly create 42,000 jobs, and 10,000 more would be supported by the overall manufacturing materials and processes that are required to complete the project. But the real impact of the president's failure to act on Keystone can be seen in this chart number 2. This shows the potential. Just look at this. The potential around this country, these are in federal lands. If we were able to develop these federal lands, of what all would be involved here. You know, it's incredible that we have a president who talks about being friendly to oil and gas, denies his war against fossil fuels, and while we've had an increase in state and private land of some 40%, on the federal land, we've had a decrease in production of 16%. I don't know how that's even possible, but the midstream infrastructure, the pipelines in particular, are one of the most important things we need to fully develop these resources. We need to be able to move oil and gas from areas where it's been developed to areas where it's refined, processed, and consumed. And the need for infrastructure expansion is astounding. ICF International, it's a consulting firm, and I think their credibility has been established. They released a report this last month that said that U.S. companies will need to invest $641 billion over the next 20 years in infrastructure to keep up with the growing oil and gas production. That's just what they know about right now. And if you add to that what would happen if they were able to open all of this up and end the war on fossil fuels, look at the potential that we'd have in this country. The increase in oil and gas production we've seen in recent years has occurred solely on state and private lands. There are many things President Obama could do to make the numbers far higher. In fact, we could have total energy independence in a matter of months, not a matter of years, if he were to lift his ban on federal lands. So he's continued his war on fossil fuels. The president's efforts have been intently focused on hurting the production of oil and gas resources, and be it the stall tactics or efforts to establish complex and confusing regulations on hydraulic fracturing process. Every way we turn, we see President Obama trying to put oil and gas out of business. The Keystone Pipeline is the bellwether of energy policy today. It's such a simple decision. I know many of my colleagues have talked about and have the information as the leader of our group here today on what we could be doing in this country, and yet there's some kind of an assumption that if we don't complete the pipeline, they will stop processes up in Canada, in Alberta. They're going to continue to do it, but it's going to be China and other countries that are going to benefit from it. So I applaud you for the great work that you're doing. We've got to let the American people know the potential that we've got right here in this country and develop that potential. Thank you. I appreciate the senator from Texas for yielding to me.